Maddie Cook, how are you?
Hello. I'm good, Haley Jefferson. How are you, my friend?
Great. It's great to see you. So I'm very
And you. Always is.
always good. I'm very excited about today because we've got a really good topic, haven't we?
It is, well, for us, because we geek out on this stuff, but I think it'll be interesting to everyone else. Whenever I talk about this stuff in programs, people just love it, because I don't think there's that many people in the world of what we do who talk about this because they don't have a qualified Haley Jepson on the team, maybe.
Yeah, we've got a bit of quite a bit of a therapy themed, good for a therapist to talk about
Yeah.
situation today. And so we're going to talk about, are your patterns playing out in your business? And so we're going to discuss this in great detail. But really, what we mean when we say patterns, are your patterns playing out in your businesses? As human beings, we have patterns that we play out. So what that means is things we do over and over again. You could think about it as ways of coping is also a way of thinking about it. And as a therapist, when you notice these patterns, when you're a therapist, you're looking for patterns in people, things that they're doing over and over again to cope that are not helpful, things they're doing. And so I love it. We're going to talk about that a bit more, but you've got a quote that you really like, haven't you?
Oh, I always
That
have a quote,
explains
Haley.
this a bit more. So say
Yeah.
that first and we'll talk more.
I think it's attributed to Carl Jung, and as most quotes are, sometimes they're misattributed or they're not how it was originally said, but it doesn't matter because the quote itself I think is really helpful, which
Give
is,
us the gist.
until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate.
Yes.
I love it. Your boy Jung.
I mean, Jung, what a cracking therapist. And I just think it's so perfect that, it's like these things that are unconscious in your life are showing up in your business and they might not be helpful. And so we're going to help you identify them.
Yeah. Yeah, there might be some moments if you're in the car where you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're like
damn.
that.
Yeah, like if you think about how humans operate, like, we're getting tens of millions of bits of information every single second. Like, you cannot consciously take all of that in or process that. So something like 95 to 97% of all of the things that we do and our behaviours and actions and everything are unconscious. It's a bit, an example I always use is, if you walked up to a door you'd never walked through, you don't stand back and go, oh, I've never walked through this door. You just go, I've walked through 1,000 doors. I'm going to assume this is how you walk through this door. And you just very automatically do it. How you drive home from work every day.
Yeah.
Conversations of food that you eat, things like that.
Yeah,
So like 95%.
Autopilot is another way of thinking about this, isn't it? It's like we do so many things on autopilot, but we're making big decisions in our lives on autopilot. It's like, this is how we've always done it. This is how I learned to do it. And it's like, as a therapist, one of the things that we're trying to do is like, one of the ways of thinking about it is we pull things out of people's unconscious and make them conscious. So they're like, oh, I do this. And then they can choose if they want to do something about it or not. But when it's in your subconscious, it's not, it's got to be in your conscious for you to choose and for it to be possible for you to do something about it. And so, that's what you do in therapy all the time. You listen to people and you listen for patterns. And, and it's like, whenever you tell me this, you always tell me a story like this, and it's like someone's way of being, way of thinking, how they handle things, all of that stuff. So I think that's all very interesting.
Yeah, I think of them a bit like, I know we've got loads of words from like patterns, coping strategies. I almost think of it like a computer analogy, like you write a computer script or a code or a program and it just runs like that. But, if you've ever tried to boot up a computer 30, 40 years later, like, we're operating in our 30s and 40s and whatever on programs that were written and installed a very, very long time ago. And exactly as you say, some are really helpful, some are really unhelpful, but they're like burrowed in your kind of blind spots. And, we always say, like, as a hairdresser, as a beauty therapist, as a nail tech, you are your business. So if something is showing up in your life, especially a pattern, and especially an unconscious pattern that you don't know about, I can almost guarantee you it will be showing up in your business as well and everywhere else.
Exactly that. They bleed together so much that it's just, this is how you are and this is how you're operating in the world. And so you will be operating like this in your business. And so let's talk about some of these, Maddie, today. Let's give the people some examples of commonly lived out patterns, ways of coping. And I think as you're listening to us, you might think, oh, I do that. Oh, okay, this is a pattern for me. And it's interesting. It's really smart for you to think about, oh, this is a pattern I've got, because then you can choose, is it serving me? Yeah. Is this a good way to live, or would I like to change that? Now it's conscious. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you also might think as you're listening, oh, I used to do that. That's an old pattern I have, but I don't do it anymore. And you can be really proud of yourself.
Yeah, that's it. And this is exactly what we mean when we say making the unconscious conscious. So hopefully throughout this episode, there'll be at least something that comes to the forefront for you that has been a bit of an autopilot, and just even giving you like the words around it, or what it is, what it's doing, the one of the reasons maybe it exists, just so you have this conscious awareness of like, okay, I can stop this. I can kind of stop this in its tracks, or just have an awareness around and notice it.
Yeah. And so, often I will talk about people's coping strategies when I'm coaching people, when I was a therapist, when I'm chatting, whatever. Patterns are basically coping strategies that you have developed. And what a coping strategy is designed to do is to move you from uncomfortableness into a feeling of safety. That's what they're designed for. Oh, this feels awful. If I do this, I'll feel better. And so coping strategies, patterns, we're going to explain this better, more thoroughly, is how we manage uncomfortable feelings, discomfort, anxiety, things that are hard, not knowing the answer, just that feeling of not knowing is so uncomfortable for people. And so we decide answers. And so we're going to show you some of these patterns now anyway. And you can think about, have you got it? And
have you got them? We'll do a pattern bingo.
Have you got them? And I think to some degree, I've had them all. To lesser and greater degrees. I've had them all to lesser and greater degrees, and some of them, and I'm very aware of all of them nowadays, thanks to my therapist, and some are not as strong as others these days. So let's start with perfectionism, Maddie. Yeah. And so I think about perfectionism as definitely a way people are managing anxiety. If I'm perfect, everything will be okay. If I'm perfect, it will be okay. If this is perfect, people will think I'm okay. It's that. It's a bit like, if I can just do this perfectly, everything will be okay. Yeah. And so that's really the motive behind it.
Yeah.
It's a coping strategy. It's like, it is. If people think I'm perfect, I'll be good enough. It's got a good enough vibe behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did a whole episode as well, didn't we, on perfectionism. So if this one resonates and you want to go deeper, go and find that in the old archives. So where I see the show for people is things like decision paralysis or like analysis paralysis, where they're like, I want to do this particular thing, or I'm going to do a rebrand, or I'm going to, whatever. There's something that they're deciding on, and they're just not making forward steps because they're like, I need to make the right decision. I need to make the perfect decision. Mm-hmm. Not posting on social. So like, you consciously know, if I need more clients, I need to be on social media. I need to be visible. People need to see me as an expert, whatever. But then subconsciously being like, oh, I'm going to faff about with it. It's not perfect. It's not right. I need to make more edits. I need to, go and waste my time fanning about in Canva, getting the perfect rebrand, just tweaking everything just so. And I see it happen a lot of the time when people are doing it as a means to maybe avoid something else as well, which we talked about in that other episode. But yeah, I'd love to know what the gist of it is. Like, what is the objective of perfectionism, or of that sort of pattern or that program?
I mean, all the patterns are designed to keep you feel safe. Like the objective of patterns is always to help you make sense of something or to make you feel safe. And so a good way to think about perfectionism is staying in your comfort zone. Perfectionists like to stay in their comfort zone. They like to do things they're good at. They don't like doing things that they're not very good at. And they will double check things and then worry about it. Me and you, I can see how I have been a bit perfectionist in the past, but this is not a big thing for me now.
Same.
We've talked about this. Like, one of the ways we're actually we're able to do things is the fact that we don't dwell on things once they're out in the world and stuff like that.
It's debilitating. Like, if you want to take action on things, there has to be a being okay with things being imperfect, because the first time you do something, it ain't ever going to be perfect.
No, and it ain't ever going to be perfect. And by the time it is, you're bored of it anyway. And so the thing is, perfectionism, why this is a pattern that you might need to address is that it's preventing you growing.
Yes.
And so it can prevent you growing in your life because, I don't know, your house is never finished. It's not perfect. You never date because no one's perfect. Things like that. But in your business, it's like you never launch your education program because it's not perfect. You never post on Instagram, all the things that we've decided. And so perfectionism is to be addressed if it's what's at the roots of stunting your growth. One way or another. And so if you're listening to this and you've been sitting on great ideas for a while, or you're really struggling to post on Instagram, have a reflect. Is perfectionism at the heart of that? And now that's in your conscious, you can go back and listen to the old episode and learn more about that and be like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. That's the thing about once it's in your conscious, you know what you're dealing with now.
You can see
Whereas
it
before, it's just a load of feelings.
Should we do one that's very, very close to both of us, because we work with so many people who have this scarcity mindset?
I think this is a big you topic. Scarcity mindset.
A lot of money related stuff.
I bet it probably comes up more for you because of the money thing. Like, I definitely talk about it when I'm coaching because it's a pattern that people live in. And so, but scarcity mindset is, it's just that feeling that there's not going to be enough. And in a different way, like in a more of a therapy way, it makes people kind of hoard things as well sometimes. Like, I need to make hay while the sun shines. It shows up like that because I better get this now because I never know when it's coming again. And it's rooted in all sorts of things, and as all these things are, they're rooted in how you're raised, how you saw your caregivers cope, and then we pick up their coping strategies. Like, I see things that I do and I think, oh, that's Linda. I learned that from Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
For better or worse. Some of them are great coping strategies and some of them are a pain in the bum, and that's where these are coming from. And so the scarcity mindset, often it's around money, but it can be about all sorts of things. Scarcity mindset, there's no men left to date.
There are no good men on earth.
Things like that. There's all sorts of scarcity mindsets and stuff like that. And so that's how it presents. But you tell us, Maddie, how you think it's showing up for people in business, and I'll say a bit more.
So much. Obviously, I do so much work around pricing. I've got a masterclass in pricing calculator, and I have heard every single program in the book when it comes to money and scarcity. So things like, or even stuff like, there are not enough clients, it's too saturated, so many people are doing this now, it's so competitive. There's this idea of like a zero-sum game, which means one person wins, one person loses. Like, it's not a win, it's not a place of win-win. It's like, if they get that, then I don't get that. So it's like you said, very hoardy. It's really fearful.
There's not enough to go round.
Yes.
It's the belief that there's not enough of something to get love, men, money,
clients, work,
toilet roll in the lockdown. There's not enough of something to go round, so I need to grab what I can when it's available and hold on to it. And so there's a real if you're watching YouTube, you can see what I'm doing, but it's like I must have a tight grip on. There's a fear, it's a fear-based. It's operating from fear, making your decisions based on fear, not hope or faith or trust or any of those things that feel much more pleasant. I
see a lot in like the no one has any money where I live. People on spend it, we're in a pandemic, we're in a cost of living crisis, there's a lot of like outward pointing, and it's like, it's this is the reason why, and that means that there is just not enough. It's a very, I guess if you want to use maybe more woo language, it's like the difference between lack and abundance mentality. Like there's more than enough versus there isn't enough. It's really lacking, it's really scarce and sparse.
Yeah, I think scarcity mindset is about justifying things to yourself. It's around making sense of things. And so one thing humans don't like is being confused or not knowing the answer. And so our brains are driven to make sense of things. We're meaning-making creatures. And so we want to make meaning. And when we don't understand the meaning, we will look around, think,
we'll find
that one. It's because no one's got any money where I live. I'm quiet because no one's got any money where I live. Okay, I feel better about that now because you've made sense of it, and you've probably made it up, or you've read it somewhere, or it's someone else's. But like often but you feel this instant peace when you attribute a meaning to your confusion. And then so we move from panic into safety. That's what happens. But when we've got no meaning and we don't know, it's not safe. And so we do this all the time, every day.
Constantly.
I put meaning on things constantly.
Oh, it's so interesting when you catch yourself and you're like, wow, that was a real stretch, or I really tied that up in a nice bow and made that all feel lovely and
and sometimes I just think I'm just going to live with that one though, because I haven't got time to think about it for a few weeks, but I will come back to it.
I'll come back. And what I find interesting when you're saying this whole, it puts people in a sense of safety, because, I have a post that gets, we caught it out in my group every other day, which is the whole stop asking people if they're quiet and instead ask busy people why they're busy, because in this effort to feel quote unquote safe and this relief and this moment of like, oh, well, that's okay now because I've made sense of it. It's such a temporary relief, because that story that you've just kind of wrapped around it does not actually change anything in you.
Doesn't get your business busier.
No. It's like I get this temporary relief of like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds great. That makes perfect sense. It's because it's really saturated, and it's because we're in a cost of living crisis, whatever. But then 5 minutes later, that hasn't made your life any better. And when we're talking about programs and patterns, beliefs, whatever, when we say some are harmful, some are helpful, like this is a surefire harmful one, because it doesn't
exactly that
help you grow, and it doesn't move you forward, and it doesn't get you to where you want to be, if where you want to be is with clients and money, financial security, that kind of thing.
Exactly that. And so that's a good example of identifying a pattern that's no longer serving you. It's like when you're showing up in Facebook's group going, who else is quiet? What that person's looking for is reassurance, safety.
Close the loop.
It's not, they want to close the loop. It's not just me. Okay. But what it also does is it absolves you of any responsibility, or what's the other word? Not responsibility as well. It's
almost like control. Like they don't have it's out of my control.
Like power. There's no
really
power to it. It's disempowering. There you go. And so that's why it's not a helpful pattern. That's so, as a therapist, I probably wouldn't be talking about someone's business and money, but people will certainly be telling themselves stories around scarcity, around why they're not moving on with their lives.
Definitely.
All sorts of things. So that's why that's a really good one.
A good one.
So one of my absolute favourites, people pleasing. Well, one of our favourites, people pleasing. And in the therapy world, this would be called more codependency. And codependency and people pleasing, I think about them as a spectrum, really. But people pleasing, codependency, they're very sort of similar. I I describe people pleasing in this way: doing things for people, and it harms yourself. So it's like saying no to you so you can say yes to somebody else.
Yeah.
Doing things for people even though it's costing you.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of how this links to codependency is like not knowing where you end and they start. It's a bit like if me and you were codependent, it's like I'd think about us as a unit, and I don't know where you end and you start, and your feelings are my feelings, and I'm responsible for your feelings. And so I think a lot of the reason people end up people pleasing their clients is some people have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility for other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And so we get into people pleasing to try and feel better. It's managing anxiety, it's avoiding awkward conversations. It's about getting your needs met and feeling safe. And so it's a bit like, if I do this for you, you're going to do this for me.
Yeah, this is a biggie.
It's all of that. It's all of that.
And
so
I think out of all of them, this one is the one that is really, like, if this is in your business, I can tell you now, this is in your personal life, this is probably in your romantic partnership, this is probably between you and your friends, this is very likely between you and a parent, and maybe where you learn it from.
It's a very, very big pattern. It's quite all-consuming.
Yeah. And I think in the business, just some examples, what this might look like. Something when we did a workshop on this that I really liked the visual of was like this. It was like a spectrum between selfish and selfless, and there was like healthy
selfishness,
selfish, and unhealthy selfless. And this is what I'd call unhealthy selfless, like give.
Yeah. Give till I'm a husk.
Yeah, and then be mad that you're a husk.
And then be mad you're a husk.
Yeah, because it's everyone else's fault. Because they took from me. So where I see this showing up in business is things like, oh, well, I cancelled my yoga class because I wanted to stay late for a client. Or
because she was desperate.
She was desperate. And, it was a birthday and I couldn't say no. Keeping lovely little Doris's price low because Doris has come to you for 20 years, or Doris's husband's just died, or something's going on with Doris.
I feel bad for Doris.
Feel terrible for little old Doris after all she's done for us. How dare we put our prices up? We're going to just, take care of her by keeping her prices low, or deciding that she can't afford it. I see this a lot with my coaching clients where there's services that they want to stop doing. Let's say they want to niche into something, or there's just, you end up with like kids cuts and dry trims and perms and things that you might not want to do anymore. Or there's just days that you don't want to work. I do a review with people, like where's your time best spent, your most profitable days, that kind of thing, but not cutting those down and not like cutting the services or cutting those hours or changing the hours, because it's like, I don't want to let my clients down. And a really big thought is, well, what will my clients do without me?
What will Janet do if I stop working Wednesdays? She can only come on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's this over responsibility for other people's lives. It's like you can't quite tell that that's not your responsibility. Janet is an adult and she can figure it out. And so, again, this people-pleasing thing, it is about staying safe. It is about staying safe, because what hairdressers think is, if I say no or I disappoint Janet, she will leave. But what that ultimately means is I won't have as much money. My safety is rocked.
Yeah.
It's all about this. And so people-pleasing is about trying to get your needs met the long way round.
Yeah.
Instead of just asking to get your needs met, it's indirectly trying to. It's a bit like, if I do this for you, you'll look after me, won't you? If I do, and so people do it in relationships, and people are doing it in business. So this people pleasing codependency gets talked a lot about in romantic relationships, but it absolutely is showing up in the hairdresser's relationship, because the lines are a little bit, they're more blurred between a hairdresser and their client than, say, a dentist and their client.
Yeah.
They just are. And so it's about keeping you safe. But what's really interesting as well is there is a side of people pleasing where it can be thought of as manipulative.
Yeah.
It can be manipulative because it's trying to control someone else's behavior through your behavior. If I do this, I'm going to try and encourage you strongly to do this. It's trying to influence other people's behavior is really what it is. But it's done through, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to be nice. But there's an expectation that they will do something for you. And that's where there's a manipulation to it. And people can be like, I'm not manipulating. But if you're trying to get people to behave in a certain way, you're trying to influence their behavior through yours. It is manipulative.
It is, and I think it's a really tough pill to swallow to think of it like that. And something that really helped me when I think about people pleasing is changing the name of people pleasing, because I think it sounds actually very nice to go, I'm a people pleaser. Like, isn't it so pleasing? I please people. And I, I'm always brutal in my language. I would call it self-abandonment. And I think when you call it that and you just say, I'm going to just abandon all my needs and I'm going to...
Well, I'm a self-abandoner. It doesn't
sound as nice.
It doesn't sound as nice, because I do think people say I'm a people pleaser and don't realise what an unhelpful pattern it is to live in. I was definitely a people pleaser for a long time.
Same,
and I think that, don't you think it's like constant maintenance to keep that in check?
Oh, it's exhausting.
Constant maintenance to keep that in check. Like, I have to keep my eye on my people pleasing all the time. You know?
Oh, yeah, it can pop up and I go, oh, there's people pleaser coming out. And I have to really decipher between, let's say I have a thought and a decision I've got to make. My default will still go to people pleaser, like, oh, well, I don't want to upset this person, I don't want to hurt their feelings, and if I do this and that causes this thing, and then I have to really stop and go, but what do I want? What's the best thing for me? Like, does this serve me?
Is this me?
Yeah. But people pleaser is so pervasive, and we have so much heaps and heaps of awareness about this, and have worked really hard on it. But it's still an unconscious, like, I think it's like a little like a whack-a-mole. It pops up and I'm like, bam, found you.
Yeah. But it really is all about getting your needs met. And that's, some of us we don't even know what our needs are. We certainly don't want to communicate them and ask directly for them. And so we do this round the houses thing, which people pleasing shows up in that way. But there's another side of people pleasing, like an element of people pleasing, which in the therapy world we call it rescuing. But you might hear it described as enabling, being a fixer. But it's an element of people pleasing, and I think about it like this. Now I think about it like this. I didn't when I was doing it a lot, but some of us make our whole identity about helping people. We feel good in the world by helping people. The way that we connect with people safely is by helping them. Like, for some people, we think people won't want me around unless I'm helping. It's like you don't know how to make friends or be with people without saying, I'll help you with that. I'll do that.
Let me pick that up for you. Yeah.
Because it's like, that's how you think you only have value if you're helping. And so there's real self-esteem things in that. But also rescuing people can also, for some people, give you a one-upmanship. I get to feel good about myself and a bit superior if I help them.
Yeah.
And then there's always, as there is with people pleasing, and then they owe me. And then I'll get my needs met. I'm getting but rescuing is really a little bit like I get my needs met. I get to feel good about myself by helping people. And enabling them, and what rescue.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go. What I heard, but we'll both go at the same time again. And sometimes what rescuers don't like is the people they're rescuing getting better.
Oh my God.
Oh, what are you going to do?
This. Yeah. There's definitely like a sort of unspoken position, like where is everyone on the board or the map or whatever.
Yeah. I would see this show up in our world in a mentor way of some people don't like their mentees to leave and get better. Like there's a problem, like all that. We now become. There's a point sometimes when you're mentoring people where you eventually become equals.
Yeah. or they become better. Like I have some coaching clients who are much more successful than me. I'm like, yeah, get it. Yeah, I love it.
And that is, if you've not got your ego in check and you're doing all the work, that is going to be a problem for you.
Yeah.
So that's one way that,
I definitely see a lot in education. And I do hands down, hands up, should I say. I think this is definitely a thing that took me into coaching and mentorship. I was like, I'm a really good problem solver and I can solve all these problems.
I didn't become a therapist by accident, Maddie. Do you know what I mean?
I think every therapist is fixing something.
We're all loving it, and then we get a big hard slap in the face when they make us learn it all. And then, but also I think a lot of people pleasers are naturally drawn to the service industry.
Yeah. We have this big theory, don't we? Yeah.
You're good at it. It makes you feel good. This is what it puts you in a place of safety, familiarity, all of that stuff.
It's a very, very good line of work for people who are codependent people pleasers / self-abandoners, fixers. What I see show up is people trying to solve problems that aren't theirs to fix. And again, you'll be doing this in life. You'll be doing this in business. I've seen examples where boundaries are really blurred, where a staff member is struggling with something and the employer comes in and is like, I'll help you with that. It's sometimes not even work related. They're having a hard time at home in the relationship. Oh, I'll help you with this. And it's beyond just the usual, kind of get you some lunch today or whatever. It's almost a bit meddling, like, oh, I can help you solve this life problem. And very blurry.
I'll come with you to the Citizens Advice Bureau. I'll come with you to your divorce lawyer. I'll mind your kids. I'll pick them up.
But mind your kids, I've seen people literally babysit their clients.
I'll drive you there. Yeah. And now I think what's important about that is there's an element, sometimes looking after people and looking after them when they're having a hard time is great. Nice, thank God that we do that as human beings. However, sometimes, let's just take that, imaginary salon owner as an example. Maybe they're doing that to get their needs met, which is don't leave.
Don't leave.
Get yourself back in work.
You owe me, yeah.
There's an element of if I help them, then they'll come back to helping me and my business. Yeah. But what that means is they owe you. You've set up a deal where they owe you. You know what I mean? And then we get resentful because they might not, because they don't know. La la la. Yeah. So there's that. Yeah.
And if you're interested in this as well, we did another episode a while back called about secret deals. Are you making secret deals? And that's what you're talking about there. And that is a great episode. It's like a deep dive into
in the world,
into this. That when
everyone's built on secret deals,
everyone still comes to me and goes, "Oh my God, secret deals!" Like, I know that I'm making them, and I make them with my husband or my mum or whoever. This for me, if I could wrap this up, it would be not letting grown-ass adults face the consequences of their own actions. And when you say it like that, you're like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Oh, you didn't book your Christmas appointment, Janet.
Yeah,
what exactly. A shame for you. You can have roots at Christmas. But you go, I must solve this.
Yes,
Janet
so when we
can't sit down with her sister at Christmas with roots.
With roots. Exactly. So, and the problem is that if you do not allow another adult to face the consequences of a decision that they've made or action that they've taken, they will never, ever improve, because you only ever get better when you look at data and go, oh, that didn't work, I'll try a different way. That didn't work, I'll try a different way. That's how we improve as people. So if you come in on your Sunday before Christmas to do Janet's roots, Janet doesn't learn to get better time management and life organisation and get in ahead next time. Next year she goes, oh, well, Hayley will come in on Sunday because that's what Hayley's always
fit me in. She'll always do it.
And I see that leading to so much resentment and anger. And this is maybe not easy to hear, but I would ask you to ponder on this. When you are feeling angry at your clients and resentful at your clients, are you angry at them? Or are you angry at yourself because you have allowed this to happen, or you've participated in this happening?
all of that. And I think, like, I always say, where you feel resentful highlights where you need a boundary.
Absolutely. It's like a big neon sign.
It's a big neon sign going, you might want to think about a boundary here.
Yeah.
Because if you're feeling resentful, you probably feel let down. And so what deal did you make that you didn't tell somebody else about, and now they've let you down on it? How it's a bit like, I people pleased so you would meet my needs, and you didn't meet them when I needed it, and now I'm resentful.
Yeah.
And so, and I think when you don't think about it, you're mad with them. And then when you give it some thought or have a bit of coaching, you realise, I'm mad with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kind of did this.
Yeah. And it is. And so rescuing, again, it keeps you safe for lots of reasons. It keeps you safe by having a way to relate to people. And often it means that what a lot of rescuers do is get very involved in other people's lives and feelings, and through doing that, they can abandon theirs and not look after theirs as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to look at my feelings because I'm so busy looking at everybody else's and looking after them. So it is another way that people stay stuck, is because they're so invested in other people's lives, they never work on their own.
Yeah.
And so everybody around them grows and they don't. Yeah. And so it's similar to the perfectionism. It will eventually keep you stuck, but it feels good when people are saying thanks all the time.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't, because it's saying thanks and thanks for this and all of that. It's not really meeting your needs. Mm-hmm. It's not really meeting your needs. And so, and what happens is rescuers eventually feel very resentful, exhausted, and really worn down. Like, if you're burnt out as a hairdresser, you're a rescuer, I'm telling you now.
Like, I was just going to say, I bet loads of your burnout students are textbook rescuers.
Burnout and Boundaries, my course is How to Stop Rescuing. That could be the subtitle.
Yeah.
How to stop being a people pleaser and a rescuer.
Stop fixing shit that isn't yours.
Yeah, like, let's put all of that down. It's, and it's, again, it's the stop looking at other people at a cost to yourself.
Yeah.
It's all of that, But we think it keeps us safe because we think that behaviour keeps the money coming into the business, and money keeps you safe.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, because you end up so worn out that you don't work, or you hate your business and you bin it off, and all of that. And so it's again, it's not a helpful pattern.
Yeah.
But once you notice that you're like, oh God, I'm a rescuer, you can decide what you're going to do. Then you can get more information.
Yeah. I always like to think, is this mine when I'm trying to when I think I have a problem to solve? And have I been asked to help? Because sometimes, especially in my early coaching days, I'd be like, do this and try this. And I'm like, oh, that's unsolicited. No one has asked me for help yet.
Yeah.
Or like, if someone's coming to you for advice, I think that's a very crucial moment, that you don't just swoop in and take over and take it off their plate and solve it for them.
I think coaching and being a salon owner and all those sorts of things is similar to parenting, in that the goal is to teach people to cope without you.
Yeah.
But rescuers don't really want people to cope without them, because then they're not important anymore or not needed. And what some people need is to feel needed, because they don't know who they are without looking after people. I speak to women, and do you remember when we ran People Pleaser, when we said to some people, what do you want? What do you need? And they were like, I've never thought about that for years.
Or it was a need to be needed. And that's again like textbook this. I do a little spiel at the beginning of every program that I run about how I do not want to create codependency in my coaching programs. And I'm like, I do not want to make loads of little tiny maddies, and I certainly don't want to make a bunch of people who will need to text and ring me every minute of the day after this ends. Like, I want you to ideally never have to speak to me again, unless you want to, in which case we can work together.
Which is the point of therapy. Like, as a therapist and as a coach, you're trying to put yourself out of business constantly. That is the aim. When your clients leave, that is success.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
But scarcity mindset combined with people pleasing, Lord, you're going to try and hold on to people longer than they need to stay, and things will turn sour. What's a good example of this is I have a membership, the Resilient Hairdresser membership, and I have rules about the culture in there. And the big rule is don't offer help if people don't ask for it. And if you want help, ask for it. Them's the rules, and everybody follows it. No one offers unsolicited advice in my group. And when people they say, this is happening, has anyone got any thoughts? What do people think? Or they say, I just want to rant. I just want to say, not looking for answers. People say in their posts what they want because I've trained them. I've informed them that this is a healthy way to live. And it's all about what I'm actually doing is discouraging rescuers.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, encouraging people. You're doing two things, because you're preventing the rescuing, but you're also teaching people this like crucial skill of what do I need? What am I? And I'm going to ask for it.
For your needs. Exactly that. And so it's a really small way of doing it, but I see my members in other groups behaving the same.
Yeah.
Do you want my opinion? Yeah. Would you like my advice? They ask before they give it.
Ask permission.
And I'm like,
I love that. Oh, so proud.
It's great.
Doing the Lord's work, Hayley.
But, it really matters. And I have to check myself a lot around offering advice where it wasn't asked for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Like I say, it pops up. It's not about never, being this perfect human where these things never crop up, but it's just that awareness.
I do it sometimes.
Popped out. Okay, check. Check myself. Do I want to do something different?
Yeah, I do. I catch myself doing it all the time. Still, not in massive ways, but in little ways. And I think, oh yeah, not that.
Not mine. Put it down.
But it's not my entire personality anymore, where it really was at one point in my life. Like when I in therapy, as a client in therapy, breaking the pattern of rescuing was a lot of my work.
Same. Many chats with Sue about.
Yeah, big up Jo. She was mine.
We love ours. Should we do like a little final thought then on this?
Let's wrap this up in a bow, Maddie.
Let's make some meaning of this, Hayley.
Let's make meaning of it. Yes.
Us hypocrites.
This is our meaning.
This is our meaning making.
This is how we make sense of this.
So I've got another quote for you, and I love this so much. People will take a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. And the familiar hell is the patterns, this unconscious, you don't even know they're happening, this resentment, this overworking, this burning out, this overextending ourselves, self-abandonment, whatever, because that actually feels weirdly more comfortable. Like you say, these are all patterns designed to make us feel, albeit temporarily, quote unquote, comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that is the familiar hell, because your entire system is wired for safety, for more of the same, repetition, even if that repetition is awful, is keeping you stuck, or is actively causing you or other people harm.
Well, the unknown is so unsafe.
Yeah, it feels so unsafe.
Unsafe.
And that's not a sign that it is unsafe. It's a sign of a really healthy and well-adapted nervous system that goes, oh, this feels like a tiger could be eating me, so let's just try and not do this. So I just invite people to be mindful of feelings of discomfort, especially when it comes up around doing differently or change or going after what they want to go after, and realizing that discomfort feeling is not a bad feeling. And then all your patterns will start coming up and trying to pull you back to the old, the same way of doing things, and just sit in that discomfort and just think, what do I actually want? What is required to get me there? Where are these patterns showing up where I can just witness them, put a little roadblock, choose maybe something differently, or just try little baby steps, try something different. But be conscious of when you're in the familiar hell phase. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is so interesting. It just made me think about, Smartless is my favourite podcast, and they've got an advert on Smartless at the minute for therapy. And Sean Hayes is the one who does that advert. And he talks about how a conversation he had with his therapist where she said, are you uncomfortable or are you unsafe? Because you really need to start understanding the difference, because you talk about discomfort like unsafe, like danger. And she said, you're confusing uncomfortable and danger. And I think that's what's happening a lot here is it's like, are we uncomfortable and we're going to cope, or are we actually in danger? But we behave like we're in danger and unsafe when it's just orcs, you know, like it's just
new
awkward
or different. I always think
new.
I always think I love the like a fitness analogy with business. I just think there's so much similarity in like repetition, you know, keep doing something and doing something when it's a bit uncomfortable. But like the first time you go to the gym, even if I go back after a holiday, I'm like, oh my God, it's so uncomfortable. It's like everything aches, you know, you use muscles you've never used before. It's not unsafe, but there was a part of me that was like, oh well, this hurts, so I can't go back. I don't want to feel like this, so I'm just never going to go again. When really it was just a temporary discomfort because I was just doing something different to how I'd always done it.
Every time I'm on the Peloton, Maddie, which I'm doing so well at that, you know.
You're 4 days. Good.
I'm doing it well 4 days a week now for 30 minutes. I'm doing very well.
Amazing.
I'm going to up it to 5 soon. It's always uncomfortable. And I remind myself when I'm on there, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's not meant to feel like sitting on the couch watching Modern Family. Like it's hard, it's hot, I'm sweating, and it's disgusting. But that's why I'm here. But it's not unsafe. I'm not hurting my back. I'm not doing my knees.
I'm not cycling away from a tiger.
I'm not going to have a heart attack. You know, this is just exercise. It's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Good analogy.
How I would wrap this up in a bow is and it's a big therapy thing, but this is how I think about everything is life is easier when you pay attention and get to know yourself. Like, you know, there's a thing, know thyself. And so I say, be curious about yourself. Instead of being judgmental, think, what's that about? I noticed I did that again. What's that about? It's like notice and get curious. Stop noticing and being judgmental and harsh. You know, because in the curiosity is the growth and it's how you move on. But when you make judgments, it ends and then you don't get to grow. You know, it's like you make meaning. That's because I'm rubbish. That's because I'm old. That's because I'm too young, whatever. And then there's no growth. And so I'm about be curious about yourself and not judgmental.
And I think that also goes for other people as well. Like I try. Do you know when you make a judgment about someone or you're like mad at someone? I'm always like, be curious. Like, why did this person choose to be like this? You know,
I mean, what's going on welcome for them? To my world, Maddie. That's how my brain operates all the time, and it's exhausting actually. But you know, I you know, and you've said this actually about me. I think we said it on the one at Christmas when we were like, I'm always like, but what, you know, why did they do that? What's they like? Can we put ourselves in their shoes and decide why they might not just be an absolute dickhead? They might just be experiencing this or stuff like
being
that.
Curious. Yeah, love it.
I'm always curious as to why people are doing what they do. And sometimes in a judgmental way.
Sometimes I'm like, they're just a dick. That's fine.
Sometimes I just make a judgment that they're a dick. But, you know, I try my hardest to be curious and not judgmental about myself and other people. I try my hardest.
Yeah.
You know.
That's all you do.
I operate in that way as much as I can.
I love it. Well, I hope everyone's enjoyed this as much as we have chatting about it. This is like totally one of our favourite.
This is like totally me and Maddie on the phone.
Oh, this is...
This is what we're talking about, folks.
Yeah.
You know, you think we're talking about fleecy leggings and... I don't know, the latest whatever comfy else. Clothes or holidays, but we're talking therapy stuff.
We're talking about patterns and unconscious rewiring, whatever.
It's not a lot of people you can talk about that stuff with, is there?
No, very true.
So let's end on a hyper focus, Maddie. What have you got?
So I can't remember what it was a little while ago. I was getting into my sort of new wave sort of era of like the Cure and Joy Division, things like that.
Yeah, I remember that. I said my era.
Your vibes. I'm now segueing in the springtime. I'm segueing into incredibly sad country music, like not your sort of Dolly Parton upbeat. Although actually a lot of Dolly Parton stuff is pretty sad, but I'm talking like things about Johnny Cash. Like
Oh
a
my
lot of people getting killed in these songs.
I love Johnny Cash, me. I mean, I like miserable music and country.
Yeah.
But miserable music is my jam, Maddie.
And I'll be, do you know how there's those things about like me listening to gangster rap when I'm like on my way to Big Tesco? It's kind of it's that, but the opposite. I'm just like doing a little, bopping around my day, listening to like the saddest songs you could ever think, like Townes Van Zandt, like Amigo the Devil, like really super depressing country music. But that's my face that I'm at now, Haley.
I know, but does it kind of cheer you up as well? Like I find miserable music, I don't know why. It's because I just think it's like when I'm not in the mood, I feel like happy music's like toxic positivity.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
like, sod off with
your
happy
I don't
music.
feel like this. I don't feel like I want to shoot anyone, so that's
cool. Not as bad as Johnny Cash.
He's having a time.
I feel, it could be worse. And that's how I feel when I listen to the Smiths and stuff. I think, wow.
Yeah.
And Adele.
Well, could be having a worse day.
I felt like that, but not today. For sure. You need to send me some links to the...
I'll do a playlist for
you. Miserable. I like Johnny Cash. Sad. I listen to the one from Folsom Prison quite a lot.
Yeah, so good.
I love it. I know all the words.
Have you watched Walk the Line?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so good. Yes. Joaquin Phoenix is amazing.
Yeah,
I just very love
it. He's got a melancholy vibe, and I'm all about it.
Very sad boy vibes.
I love a melancholy vibe, though. I do. I do.
We love it. We'll have a miserable person.
Well, and the opposite to that, my current hyper focus is about, and this is the saddest, most middle-aged thing you've ever heard, going out clothes.
Oh, jeans and a nice top.
Jeans and a nice top. My friend does the jeans and a nice top joke constantly. Jeans and a nice top, but you can't even do jeans and a nice top anymore. And I found I'm 50 soon in a few weeks, and everyone I know is, apart from you, but like all my old friends, we're all 50 this year. So it's endless parties, weekends, nights out. I've got to get going out clothes, Maddie. I'm not really a going out clothes person, and I'm going to need more than one outfit. Don't feel like I want to wear the same one to every do. And so but like going out clothes is so hard when you're middle-aged, because I don't want to feel like the middle-aged woman in the sequin top who gets out once a year. She's got a going out
just
top on.
I
don't want to get me going out. I don't want to look like I'm in my going out top. That's like my worst fear and horror. So I'm having a really good deep dive into what do 50-year-old people who don't want to look like they're in the going out top wear on a night out. So I'm diving.
Even asking people who go out, you're asking the wrong person, Haley. I have no idea. I don't go out.
I can dress really well for day drinking, brunch, a day out, daytime,
afternoon teas and that.
Yep, all of that. But when it goes into evening and a bit dressy, then I'm into problem territory.
We need suggestions, guys. Send us some.
If anyone really wants to DM me with
help a girl out.
I'm looking for like Instagrammers I can follow.
Oh yeah, that's
who
good.
are not wearing shit clothes, because if you start looking at like clothes for over 50s, what my mum wears that
the Bon Marché.
So I feel like I find it tricky. So the deep dive is real, Maddie. The deep dive is real.
Well, you're very cool. Almost 50-year-old. I think you always look cool in whatever you wear. You've got a good sense of style, Haley. You don't.
Thanks.
Wait, what do I want to say? You don't wear. No, they don't wear you. You wear them. I don't know. I'm trying to give you compliments, so just
thank you. I know what you mean. Like it looks like my style, but honestly, my worst fear is like a pair of ankle boots, some jeans, and a glittery top. Like, stop it.
It's not you.
I can't bear like a top with a peplum. Do you know what I mean? Like a V-neck with a
not with those girls, Haley. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's tricky. Yeah. So,
well, I'm excited to see what the outfit is, or the outfits, because you've got a bunch of social shenanigans in the calendar.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, it'll be on my stories in a few weeks. What did she wear
I'm excited to see the peplum and the secret.
Yes, she's got jeans and a nice top on.
Yeah. We should just call this episode Jeans and a Nice Top. And lure everyone into a false sense of security and be like, bam, therapy.
Yeah, have therapy.
Unlucky. Well, I've enjoyed every moment, Haley.
This has
always
been
a
fun.
Pleasure. I'll see you next time, pal.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us and check out Timely, who we recommend as our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.